Everybody good? SD card's good? Battery's good?
Router's fine.
Yeah.
Router's good. What's up, Resource Nation? Welcome to one of the best master classes that we've had all year. I am super excited because this is right up my alley. I love video marketing. I've been doing it for over a decade, and I got two guys that are absolutely crushing it in the industry. First of all, Neel, fresh off of the Forward Conference, man that needs no introduction, content creator, marketing expert, investor, like pretty much checks all the box. Thanks for joining us, man. I love it. I love your content. I got tons of questions for you today, but just first of all, thanks for being here with us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, dude. I appreciate you. And I'm glad we finally got to meet because I've been seeing your stuff on YouTube and just throughout all the different people that we share connections with throughout the year. So it's cool to finally make the connection.
Well, I love having new people. First time on the show, Neel. Hopefully not the last time, but
Yeah.
this year we've had a lot of new guests. Like Todd Duncan's been on a few times. Rene's been on a few times, and we have a lot of mutual friends. So it's really cool to make another relationship with you. So I agree, man. It's really cool to make that connection. Keith has been a guest on the show. He's been a host on the show, but now he's a guest host on the show. Mega producer, mega content creator, investor extraordinaire, and my good friend Keith. Buddy, thanks for being here, man.
Oh, I'm stoked, man. This is it's cool to be part of this. It's kind of one of those conversations that I'm like, man, I'd love to just be a fly on the wall for, but now we're part of it. So this is cool. I think we're gonna bring some value and let's go, man. I'm excited. I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in this market right now, and a lot of it can be taken advantage through social media and video marketing. Dude. I'm excited.
And that's our goal today, guys. Like realtors, lenders, leaders, get your notepads out because we are talking all things content creation. Neel, first, before we get kicked off, like if I said, hey, man, you just ran that amazing event, which by the way was awesome. I talked to a lot of people that went, and usually they come away from events like that going, oh, there was like one or two things. Like everybody I talked to, man, was like absolutely crushed it. They loved it.
Yeah.
What's your big takeaways from running that event for the first time? I know you guys are going to run it a second time next year, but what an amazing cast. But what did you learn, and like what are your big takeaways before we get into video marketing and content?
So there was a ton of great content there. But probably the biggest takeaway I had was the fact that so many more, it's not necessarily always about the people on the stage. It's more about the people in the audience because those are the connections. So it was cool to see the night before the event. You go downstairs and there's groups of people, leaders, like leaders from all organizations, top producers, medium producers, even guys that just got into the business, all collaborating. What's working? What's not working? Hey, dude, how do you do this? And everybody's just openly sharing what's working and helping each other move forward. That was the whole point of the conference. So I'm seeing that happen the night before, the day of. And what I realized was like, I didn't know all the work I was putting in. Like, it's just like a blur. You know what I mean? Like you're just putting in the work every day. I don't think about like, oh, this is exactly where I want to be in 5 years. I just say like, this is what I need to do today. You know what I mean? I'm just going to do this in this week. And I kind of look at micro goals because then I can win more often. That gives me more momentum. So I was doing that. And then I didn't realize like how strong the community had grown. You know what I mean? Like, so you get kind of numb to numbers because we think of things in views. And, you think about thousands and thousands of views or hundreds of thousands, millions of impressions, blah, blah, blah. But when you see 750 faces staring at you that flew here from all around the country, took
Right.
time away from work, family, spent hard-earned money to get on an airplane and fly out here, it's for a reason, right? It's a strong community. And then to see like the feedback afterwards of like, yo, this was the best event I've ever been to, or this is one of the best events I've been to. And you know how you can tell when people are like, yeah, dude, good job, Neel, pat on the back. That's the type of feedback, like, thanks, bro. But it was more like long messages like, dude, this day changed me. Or,
That's awesome.
I learned so much. Thank you for letting me know about this. And the interesting thing about it is you think you could put on an event and people will just show up, and they will. There's a small group of people that are in your sphere that'll come, but everybody else, there's too much noise out here. They're not gonna get up and go. Like there's other things they got to do. People are super busy. There's so much information coming at them. So I literally sent out thousands of direct messages, me to you, one-on-one. I spent hours every night for months letting people know about this event. I mean, Keith probably got 2 or 3 messages from me.
I got a few, man. I got a few. I
Yeah,
think that was one of the cool
because
takeaways that we had from that conversation the other day is kind of grinding through that. I think a lot of times people think, you're looking at somebody like Neel with the, big following, putting out a ton of content, and maybe things come easy. right?
No,
And to
it's
hear
work.
kind of your story about how hard you had to grind to make that event happen with and even just like you would think that just let alone Neil, but like the level of speakers that you had at that event should be easy, right? To fill the
No.
room, but the level of work that you had to put in to make that happen, I think, is a really good lesson for a lot of people. Like it doesn't come easy for everybody. Everybody's got to grind and put the work in. It just looks different.
Yeah, you in the beginning too, when you're trying to launch something, you gotta make sure you let people know. And so, that's the missing part where people just wanna run ads or they just want to have their team manage their social. It's like, bro, if you're trying to build it and you're already trying to delegate the most important part, I mean, that'd be like a guy who gets straight into mortgages, brand new, and he's like, "Hey, dude, can I get a loan partner and an LOA and a process?" Actually, people do this now. They're like doing 2
They
loans
do.
a month
No,
and they
they
want an
actually
entire
do.
team.
No, that's the
They're
thing.
like, "Hey,
Not
dude,
a good
can you give me an
analogy.
entire production team? I'm gonna be out there working doing business." And it's like, "Bro, you did 1 loan last month."
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
But, that would be the equivalent of that. Like,
Yeah.
you need to put in the work first. And so that's the thing that people don't realize is like, I was doing classes for 6 people 3, 4 years ago, and then 12 people, and then they sucked, and then I was constantly improving. But the thing is those events, if I was doing a realtor class or a class for some consumers about buying their first rental property, thing was the night before, the weeks before, I was putting the same energy. I was like messaging people. I was working on my presentation, like what's going to be most valuable for these viewers. And there's only 6 people coming. And so what's cool about that is like if you actually put the work into everything you do from the beginning, even when it sucks and even when it's small and you enjoy that process, those rooms will lead to this room. You know what I mean? And I said that on stage. I was like, it's really cool seeing all these faces out here. And the first thing that came to my mind was this reminds me of the journey, like from dirt, you know what I mean? Like literally doing shitty classes for like people that didn't
Yeah.
even show up.
Yeah.
That's the journey. And I put the same effort. Like it wasn't like mailed in. I put in the same effort always, and then it continues to get better. That's the only way you can
Right.
improve.
Well, and I leveraged your story that, shout out to Clubhouse. I'm not on there very much, but the three of us were on there this week and you told that story. You packed out forward with one at a time DMs, which I thought was a really interesting story and a really interesting grind. I respect hustle all day long
Yeah, and so
more than
what'll happen
anything.
is next year I won't have to do that as much because of the work I put in this year, because people will be talking. So that what happens is that was the first step, is fill the room. Now I got to deliver, right? So that's what I learned about the event is like everything matters. Like it matters like how you're what's the room feel like when you walk in? Like, you talk about a lot like little things in your videos, Ryan, and people think maybe that's just your preference, but there's a lot of things subconsciously that people appreciate. They will never vocalize it, but they'll be like, "Dude, this is dope." Well, why is it dope? It's because when you walked in, the music was good, the lights are good. There's shit happening. There's energy in there. You know what I mean? And you can't just mail it in. Like I've been to
Yeah.
so many events where you walk in, there's some engaged people up front. The audio's bad. They mailed it in for half the content during the day. Somebody's trying to sell you something at lunch and after the event and on day 2 and on day 3. And then there's people in the back on their laptops working on deals. And there's other guys with their head down in their arms, like
Right.
sleeping.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what is going on here? This is ridiculous. And I'm like, dude, if I ever do an event, it's not going to be like that. You're going to be engaged. You're going to be, it's going to be about you and the other thing I did, which I learned from the feedback, which is again, listening to what people want, is afterwards ask people for testimonials. Everybody said they appreciated that it was one day.
I've always said, we've talked to a lot of big, like Duncan and stuff about doing big events. I've always said one day, absolutely Neil. And then also instead of an hour, like my personal preference is like, dude, give me like 30 minutes of fire. I don't need an hour of meh.
Yeah.
Give me
So
30 minutes of
everybody
fire.
had 25-minute
Yeah.
talks, except for people that could command the stage for an hour, like Ed Mylett. Like it's very rare for someone to keep your attention on stage for over an hour. That's like what it's a handful of people in the world. You know what I mean? So it's like everybody else, let's just not waste time. Let's get straight into it. And then you're forced to do that when it's one day. And then you could have other networking events and other things associated with the weekend. And then some people can stay, some people can go. But the main meat of it needs to be valuing. It's the same thing with the videos. Like you value the consumer's attention.
Yep.
You're valuing the people's time and energy. And, for the people that want to hang out, have some activities the next day or whatever. But the people that need to get back to their families and to work, like let's value their time and just give it to them, pack as much value in one day. And that's it.
Several takeaways already, guys, mortgage bankers, because I know you watch. take note. NAR, you put on lots of events, take note. There's a lot
And
of them
those
there.
guys, I understand it's nothing against the long thing. I think, there are people maybe who appreciate the multi-day experience, and it also allows you to have more time. It's just not my speed. So it's just different strokes,
I think
different
events are
folks. Like,
changing though. I really think that that's a way of it to moving forward as an event like that, and then also provides the opportunity for people to network. Because I mean, you're doing a big event like that, it's just so packed. Then they're trying to squeeze business in because it's 4 days. Whereas it's like one day you can shut it down for one day, right? Focus on the event, network before, network after, network in the middle. But when it's a 4 day event, like you're squeezing in work, it's not it's a little less focused. Then it becomes kind of a vacation too. So, we all been to those events where it's like 4 days and people are at the pool, more at the pool than they're at the event. Like
Yeah.
no, you did
Yeah.
it right, man. You did it right. I love it.
Before we get into content and marketing, I want to frame the conversation with just like the case for content creation and video. And I want to ask you guys, first, how has content creation and video marketing, video changed your life professionally? For me, like if you asked me back in whatever 6 or 7, 4 after the Great Recession, struggling LO by myself, just trying to tread water in the industry. Fast forward to today, run a region with some amazing people, $4.5 billion region. If you ask me like what's the one thing besides a lot of hard work, I would say video. Video helped me get from struggling LO to a $4.5 billion region, and hopefully whatever's next. So how has content creation really changed your life? Keith, we'll start with you. I know it seems like, dude, you came out of nowhere, and it was like video is your jab left hook right out of the gate.
Yeah, man. I mean, I started early with it for sure, and it's been awesome. Kind of created a brand. I think in the market that I was in, I was always known for that. Like if you wanted to get into video, talk to Keith. And then I mean, this year I mean, we didn't just double down. I tripled and quadrupled down. And I was just looking at the overall real estate market, and I'm like, we had a really good year the last couple of years. I had some extra cash, was going to buy more investment properties, but I'm like, no, I'm going to invest in myself in the business. Found a great partner to come alongside me to create content. And we just leaned in. And then I started following people and trying to just suck up as much information as I possibly can to really lean in this space. And we really started like 90 days ago, and it's been awesome. I mean, it's
What do you mean you started 90 days ago, dude? I've been following you for years.
yeah. So you've been following me thank you. We've been doing this, we've been doing this for a while, but like I kind of did it as like, hey, this is good. I get the question a lot, like, how do you fit this in? How do you do this, right? How do you do loans, run a region, and then spend so much time creating content? Like, so for me, it was kind of a thing that I did on the side when I had time. Now, in the last really 90 days to 6 months, like it's a pillar of the business, right? It's scheduled in the content, the time to create content, the time that I'm creating the scripts and reels, the time that I'm focusing, the time that I'm researching. Like it's built into the calendar now.
It's part of the strategy.
It's part of the strategy. It's part of the business. It's a pillar. Whereas I think before, yeah, I did it a lot. I did it okay. I still have a ton to learn, but it was just kind of a thing that I did when I had extra time. I think that's that big shift. But to your your initial question is how's video impacted my career? I think it's open doors has been the biggest thing for me is it's open doors. Like I'm not a big deal, but I feel like I call a lot of $100 million producers as a producer and say, I have a question. Can I get 10 minutes of your time? And they probably have a basic idea of who I am and would say yes. And that's happened a lot. And that's how I've built the majority of my business. When I've had a problem, I reach out to somebody that I see that is doing it better than I am. And I just try to earn 10 minutes of their time to figure out how to overcome that hurdle.
That's awesome, man. And you're killing it, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. Neel, I mean, we were talking in the green room, obviously not to like give your answer, but you've parlayed it into several things. So kind of talk about how it's changed your life professionally and personally.
Yeah, it's the same thing that Keith just talked about. You just have more awareness. So people are aware of what you do. I mean, just think about the main problem that people in the mortgage and real estate industry have. It's that for some, and these are the best people in the industry, and many people that we don't even know about, they do an amazing job for their clients, friends, family, past clients. All these people in the sphere, they call it, know the great things about you, but that's it. And so in a great market, that's enough to feed you because you don't understand, like there's so many more people transacting. But now when you're in like a normal or a tight market, you realize that you need more than what your sphere can give you, right? People transact once every 5 to 7 years. There's no refis or very few of that. And so now you're like, shit, I need more than this, right? And so that's where you come into top of the funnel strategy. So the reason why big brands beat individuals and why individuals stay in the rat race is because big brands understand branding and marketing, and they have a top of the funnel strategy. So they have a strategy to stay top of mind and stay in contact with people, even when their transaction is going to be 2-3 years out. Our strategy in this industry is only to talk to people who are 30 days out, 60 days out from buying. And that's fine because that's how you get paid. And I understand that if you were to say to a mortgage person, hey, let's talk to people who are 2-3 years out this week, they would be like, forget that, man. I'm going to go broke. And that's true. Like, it's not a good strategy, but there needs to be something passively happening. So that way there's a top of the funnel strategy. And now you can have more awareness so that when you do reach out to people, so that's been the biggest thing is like people are just aware of you more in your market. People respect you. And for me, the one thing is like the one thing I love about the job is when people appreciate you. And everybody would say that, it doesn't matter where you work. And I found that this gets more respect. Like people are like, yo, dude, thank you for your time. Would you have time to chat today? Like, heck yeah, I'd love to chat with you. I mean, I get shocked still. Someone's like, hey man, no, you're busy, but looking at putting an offer on this $1 million place and wanted to run through some options. Saw your post about jumbo loans. Would you have time to chat today? I know it's Saturday.
You're like,
And I'm
yes,
like,
of course I would.
would
That's
I have
exactly why I
time?
put out that video.
I've been
Yes.
waiting. I've spent 10 years asking people if they had time to talk to me. You know what I mean? And it flips the tables on that. So it's just, like it's confidence, it's respect, it's all that stuff it gives you. And I think that's the missing piece for somebody in this industry. So I think, and the other cool thing is like, it's a white space. Any idea you come up with, you're like, oh, this is going to be great. And then you find out there's already 15,000 people doing that same thing and it's not going to work. Like in this spot, content marketing, there are still very, very few people doing it consistently. In certain markets, you may be the only one doing it
Which is
consistently.
crazy to me.
You would think
so.
2022, you might
Yeah.
be the only dude or gal in your market doing it properly. Where else can you find that opportunity right now? Like
I think it's
it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I think it's sped up though too. Like you're talking, and I get what you're saying, right? You're planting seeds for the future, 2-3 years down the road. But I think that's actually sped up a ton. I think video marketing actually allows you to get in front of people much faster in this market, especially if you're loan officer to realtors, because most realtors know they need to do it and aren't doing it well. And if you come in that space and start doing it well, like they see you, and it's a much easier conversation, connection, and opportunity. I mean, I relocated
Yeah,
out
because
to
you'll be
Tennessee.
surprised. To Keith's point, I'm always shocked at this as well. Somebody watches your content, watches your video, goes to a landing page, whatever, and now they have an opinion of you. They've already gotten to know you,
Yep.
and you've never spoken to
Yep.
them.
Yep.
And think about how much time that saved you. Think about that gap of like, you're at the bottom of the hill, the top of the hill is where you have rapport with somebody. And that usually, it's a hard gap to fill. And the content got you like 70, 80% there without you even
starting
picking up the
there.
phone.
Yep.
That's the dopest part. Like me and Ryan are meeting for the first time today, but we're just like friends, because we've been seeing each other's content. And I know we talk about that all the time, but that is real. It works with business relationships the same way. People are comfortable asking questions. People are comfortable taking the meeting with you because humans are attracted to confidence and clarity. They're repelled by confusion. So when you reach out to somebody and they don't quite know what you want, they don't know the agenda, they don't know if you're good, bad, or whatever, they don't want to participate in that. And that's why you get shut down. That's why nobody wants to take your call. That's why people don't show up to the meeting, is because there's no clarity. So if you're very clear with your content about here's what I'm good at, here's what I do, here's how I help people, here's my, even if you want to take it to the next level, here's my personal life and my values and what I believe in. Now there's very clear on your messaging. And if you'd like the meeting, they know exactly what they're getting when they get the meeting. And so that's why you get all yeses. Like, it's crazy to say that. You will not have a problem meeting with anybody other than time, like scheduling conflict. And this is the difference. It's a true scheduling conflict. It's not the lies that you're normally told. Somebody literally is out of town. They're not just telling you that, you know what I mean? Like, so that's the difference.
Well, it's the rapport, like you said. You're skipping date number 1, 2, and 3. You're on date number 4 in terms of like relationship building, and then the credibility. Like if you watch Neel or Keith, like they're experts. They're experts at their craft. You don't have to sell yourself like, oh, I'm a top 1%er. You're like, no, you already know that. The credibility is there, the rapport is there, and all that's left is helping them with
And
whatever,
just
buying a home
real quick,
or financing a home.
Ryan, here's a way just to, when you said that, it clicked on for something. Everybody leads with their credentials.
Yes.
So let's
Don't
just
do
say it
that.
let's say it a different way.
Yes.
Like, let's just say you wanted to convey that you have a lot of experience and you're a top producer. You could say it like that. I'm the top 1% of my industry. I produced X number of loans last year. Cool. And that probably works to some degree. The better way in a piece of content would say, here's what I learned over the past 20 years working with high net worth clients or something like that, right? Because here's
Take
what
note,
happens is,
guys, and go back and rewatch that last little minute there. That was money.
so what happens is people are like, oh, I learned that Neel has been in the business 20 years. I learned that he works with high net worth clients. So he probably has good experience. Rich people trust successful people, right? So they connect those dots. And then they're like, okay, I want, and then also we said, what's in it for you? So here's what I learned over the past 15 years working with high net worth clients. I want to know what's next, dude. What are you going to tell me?
Yeah,
You know
what
what
are
I
you
mean?
gonna
Like,
tell me? I want to learn
and
that.
also I accomplished my goal of telling you that I'm experienced rather than saying I've been in the business for 15 years and I've seen everything and, look at me. And it's kind of like, you got to position it in a way that the consumer would find value in it.
I think it's like how IG sells anything. Like, man, I don't know what the number is now, but 7 or 8 impressions before I buy. And it's like clockwork for me. Like if it's shoes, like the 8th time I see it,
They
I'm
have
gonna
my
buy.
number.
You know what I mean?
They know
They got
exactly
my
what I want
number.
to buy.
They got your number too, Keith. But it's same with our content creation. Like it may not be the first one, but that's why commitment matters. That's why a commitment to excellence, and whether it's weekly or Neel, you come out, it seems like daily. Like it might not be that first, it might not be the second or third or the fourth, but just like the rest of everything on Instagram, it might be the 6th or the 7th touch. And you're building credibility without having to share I'm a top 1%er. After that 7th or 8th video, dude, they know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
They'll
you don't have
see
to
it.
say it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like you don't have to flex. They'll just see it in what you're doing. I
Yep.
mean, like everybody's telling you what they do, how good they are. Why don't you just show it?
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, like if you're still cool to work at Movement, why don't we just talk about that? You know, like that's where people like talking about, oh, you should see all the, like recruiting does this all the time. They message you on LinkedIn. They tell you the
Right.
amazing things about the company. The person doesn't exist and the company doesn't exist online. Nobody's going to believe the words in the DM. That's a spam. Why don't you just show? So I'll pick up the call every once in a while and be like, dude, I've never seen you. I've never heard from you. Why don't you go ahead and post on LinkedIn how cool it is to work at the company? Like, let's see it. You know what I mean? Like, otherwise it's just words and nobody believes you.
Before we transition, guys, you guys are being humble, and I want to pull this out of both of you a little bit. How it's changed your life, I can see it from my perspective. You're both being humble. I mean, Keith, mega producer, Neel, it's parlayed into the CEO of Forward Academy. You're obviously a content creator, but you're also a lender. You guys are both investors, right? You're both buying property. You've both done very, very well. So I want to make that case for both of you, that it's not just like a thing where like I'm going to connect with a client. No, these guys have parlayed this into mega success. Neel, I think you're the only guy I really know that's actually monetizing Instagram at a high level. Anything
Yeah.
else I
And
did
I
miss
don't,
there? And I
I
know
don't
I'm not
really,
asking you guys to brag, but
yeah.
just tell people that are watching that don't really understand the power of content creation, why that matters, and what you
Yeah.
guys.
So this is
have had.
a common misconception too. Somebody's like, yo, Neel, I saw you, you have an education thing. That's cool that you're making money from Instagram. And honestly, that's just it's a passion project. It's a fraction of the money you make from doing mortgage transactions, right? The money's in the transactions. It's not in selling something on Instagram or trying to get a brand deal. So I would tell people when they see me sell something, the only time I'll sell anybody anything if it's worth 5 to 10 times what I'm selling it for. It's that good.
Yeah.
My free content is better than what people charge for, right? So
Yep.
if the free content is that good,
your free content is pretty good, dude.
yeah. So if the
The
free
Ford
content's that
Academy is
good,
pretty legit. You could charge a lot more for it.
yeah. So I remember Keith's like, yo, dude, I've been watching your stuff, learned a lot. How can I go deeper? I'm like, well, we have this thing. If you want to join it, $1,000 or whatever. And he's like, cool, I'll buy it. Done. Like, I think I got the alert like 2 seconds later that he bought it. Then I get a text like 4 hours later. This thing's worth fucking way more. This is ridiculous. This is so good. And I'm like, that's exactly why I did it, was because it's honestly just a way, because I can't respond to the questions. And you know what? Like if you put it all out for free, that's cool. But then if you want to go deeper with people, there has to be some sort of product there or whatever. So that was the whole purpose of doing that. And it was not to make a bunch of money and, get out of doing mortgages so I could sell courses. No, it was because there was a high demand for quality content. And if you look in the space, there are a lot of things where people are just trying to make a quick buck. So I basically wanted to say, like, look, this course or this program or this event is cheaper than what other people charge, and it's 5 to 10 times better than the other people. And that's how you win, is by the people. I have not run one ad for anything, and that education company has done $2 million in sales in 8 months. Reason why
It's
is
awesome,
because
man.
the stuff in there is so good and people in there tell their friends and coworkers about it. There's not a single ad about any of that shit. Nobody even knows about half of it, but it's all word of mouth because it's that good. So that was not my intention, but it took off because it's good. And then on the mortgage side, obviously it changed my life. I 10x'd my business over a period of time. Somebody cynical will be watching this video and they'll be like, yo, you made all that money and did all that business because rates were at the 2%. Well, then why didn't you make that much money? Why didn't you do this much business? It's because when there are peaks in this business, you have to have a top of the funnel strategy. You have to have the awareness. You have to have the systems. You have to have the team in place to capture that opportunity. People say it's luck. You have to be in a position to get lucky. Like, you know what I mean? How many other runs did you have and then you didn't capture it? And then you're like, yo, I just need one more refi boom, man. Just one more. And then I'll retire to
Seriously. How
Bahamas. Well,
many times have you
shit.
heard that?
Yeah. Everybody says that. You know what I mean? And then how many people missed the opportunity and made just regular money or helped X number of people? There was such a demand for people who needed our help, and that's the purpose of what we do. Is like, if you have an opportunity to reach this many people, how many people didn't get a chance to refinance at those rates? I was on social media and stories saying, look, people, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You need to capture this. Inflation is coming. This is a hedge against inflation. This is a way to lock in. Like, there's so many things that it was good for, investment properties, all that stuff. So I was preaching that. Yes, I made amazing money and had huge success, but I helped a ton of people that otherwise maybe wouldn't have been helped. And that's the key, is the content allows you to reach people at scale. So now when there are those opportunities, you can do it. And then incidentally, when you get into a tight market, you're not worried. Wouldn't you rather have your business down 25%, but it's from millions, multi-millions, and now you're down into low millions?
Right.
Like, dude, I'll take that trade. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that bad, right? You know what I mean? So yes, it's going to be a down year, but I'm not worried because of the brand I built, because of the connections I've made, because of the work I put in when I didn't have to.
Yeah, you shared that. I think it was in Clubhouse or somewhere, but I think we all have the same feeling this time around, this correction, this recession, if we're going to have one. We feel a lot better coming into this. Like
Yeah.
we're poised a lot better. Actually, the three of us are looking for opportunity this time around, looking to make big home runs because
And Keith
portions are
could
made.
probably Keith could speak to this. He talks to a lot of LOs. I mean, there's a lot of LOs, Keith, that are scared,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, I think I was actually talking to someone on the way into the office today about that. Like, I really believe that the next 4 months is one of the greatest opportunities that we're ever going to have as LOs, and even regionals, recruiting, the whole thing, that we're ever going to have, because there's so much fear right now. Yeah, the market's different, but it's not. This ain't 2008, right? There isn't like a fundamental problem that and housing's going to drop 50%. There's just fear right now. And it's never been easier for me to get on the phone with people, and I think it's associated with the brand that I've built, but it's also because of the underlying fear that we have in the marketplace. People will pick up your phone, they want to hear from you, and they're looking for strategies to try to figure out how to win. But it's hard right now, and so people are getting out of the industry, right? People getting out of the industry, they're redoing their business, and then I think there's also a lot of people that are just kind of fat and happy over what they've done over the last few years, and they're just sitting
Yeah.
back on their heels. So like we have like a 4-month window to take advantage of probably one of the best opportunities we're ever going to have to build market share. And I really think that like video for me is like the way to like super compound that, because I can't shake 1,000 people's hands in a day. But I mean, right now, I'm engaging with 200, 300 people on stories every single day, right? Like that, I can't do that anywhere else. I can't make 300 phone calls in a day, but
Yeah.
but social media allows me to do that.
And imagine when you pair the both.
Right.
When you pair the content,
Yes.
and then some people say, well, does that mean I abandon? No, you still need to
No.
close the circle. And so
Correct.
you still make the calls, but now it's just gas on a fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, imagine how much you guys stick out when their leader is, scared and negative and oh my God, sky's falling. And you're out there super positive going, no, man, I'm leaning into that storm. Most of my peers, guys, are giddy. They're so happy about this market that they're giddy. And that's what's crazy is like that. And that's why I love bringing on leaders during tough times like this, is because there's two completely different mindsets right now. One is absolute fear. One is like looking for opportunity everywhere. It's like hungry, hungry hippo. Like, let me just grab as much as I can right now. But I love that. And you're right, Keith. You can compound that message with video. Like, it's a no brainer, right? You can do it one at a time with coffees and lunches, or you can do it thousands at a time with video.
And there's such
Go
a
ahead,
big
Keith.
gap right now too, like of the people who are doing, like you've got producers that are good quality producers that have no social media presence whatsoever. I'm out here in Nashville. It's such a weird market from that standpoint. Like we've got people doing $100 million production year over year, consistent, purchase focused. I can't even find them on Facebook, let alone like Instagram. You know what I mean? And so there's such a gap between that. Like there isn't people aren't really playing in the middle. You're either dominating it, doing really well, or you're like
Yep.
non-existent.
Yep.
And so I think there's just, man, there's a huge opportunity to be able to
And
step
dude,
into
just
that
think about this.
space.
People are vetting you. You know
Yeah,
what
oh
I
yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
they're checking, they're Googling. I look it up all the time. When I'm trying to like look at someone I want to hire or someone I want to work with, I try and find them online. And wouldn't
Oh,
it be cool if they found a lot of dope content online? Imagine what would happen if they
Yeah.
Googled you and they saw your YouTube channel,
Brah.
they saw
Just everything
your
blows up.
Instagram,
Yeah.
and they saw, holy shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus they find your social account and you posted last in 2019.
and that happens. I mean, when people are saying that they're interviewing, people are saying like they're interviewing multiple loan officers. I think people like it's not like physical phone calls and interviewing people anymore. It's going to Google, typing in your name and seeing what you have out there. Like that is the interview of 2022 of a real estate professional and mortgage professional. I believe it. Prior to
You
making a
can't
phone
play the
call.
perception game.
No.
Neel and I were talking about in the green room. Like, there's no more perception game anymore. You
Yeah.
could flex and be like, I'm a top realtor, I'm a top LO. Okay, let me just check that real quick. Oh, you're not? Interesting. So yeah, there's no perception game anymore. And you do have to have a library
Yep.
of content for people that Google you and go, oh, Keith's for real, Hills is for real, Neel's for real. You know, and back to your point, Neel, like, okay, instant rapport, instant credibility. Now we close. You guys organically were talking about a thing that Keith was interested in, and I'm sure the viewers are going, wait, what is this thing that Keith invested into that Neel said is worth way more than $1,000?
Yeah.
So to call back to that for somebody watching going, I want to get a part of that. Neel, what can you speak to that?
Yeah,
Like, how do they get
so
in?
we have a group where we teach content marketing, specifically short form content right now on social. We also show you how to leverage it to get business and all the
Look at him
different
just talk
things.
it down right now.
Yeah. Everything that's like in this that we've been talking about today, especially with more short form content, this is what we teach. And so it's a great group. And then the cool part about it is everybody sells a course. The problem is the material changes. So we just keep updating the material. We provide scripts for loan officers. You can put your own spin on them. Keith writes his own scripts based on ideas, whatever. But then it gives you, at least it gets the wheels turning with the scripts. And then for people that are newer, they just use the scripts verbatim, which is cool too. And somebody might say, well, what if two other people use the same script? Nobody cares. You guys have different audiences. There
Yes.
are billions of people on social media. Like nobody cares that you use the same script that somebody else in your market.
I don't think
What's
people,
it called and how do they get to it? We'll
sorry,
put a link
yeah.
down below, Neel. Sorry.
Yeah. It's
Go.
forwardacademy.com.
Okay, go ahead, Keith.
And
Well, I was gonna
so,
say-
yeah, you could check that out. And then the other part, real quick, was like we do a Zoom call every other week where we go on a call, and Keith's been on some of these, and it's literally sometimes a couple hundred, sometimes 70, depending on schedules. But people show up, and it's realtors and lenders from across the country, and we go over content ideas, what's changing on the platform, different things that have happened, different trends, different things we need to adapt to, because things change throughout the year. So it's not a static thing. It's a program that you're in, on an ongoing basis.
I think with this Forward Academy, I'll jump into something different. I think it's pretty awesome. Like one of the ones that we were watching, he actually recorded himself shooting a reel, which I think was really cool, just to kind of see how that actually operates. But going back to the others is even if two people are following you, right? Like, so, loan officer A, loan officer B have the same individual following both of them, and they post exactly the same content, like verbatim, with the same images and everything. The likelihood of them actually seeing both of them too, from a social media standpoint, is low. Even if you are, so not only like the likelihood of that you have the same followers, but even if you do have the same followers, like you literally have to be in the algorithm at that time to try to see that, right? Like you can post stuff. I was watching a couple people who are reposting old videos, and they're talking about how they're doing that because people aren't going to see it. They aren't going to remember, and you've got new followers. So I just,
Yeah, you
swipe
got
and
new
adapt.
people. You've got people who didn't
Yeah.
see the first time. Honestly, the content is mostly viewed by strangers. That's the best part about short form content, is that it's
Yeah.
pushed to strangers. So in
Yep.
that case, it's a whole new set of people every time you post. Now, it's different than stories, it's different than other things, but don't be afraid to repeat things. Don't be afraid to remind people what you do, because they don't remember. I mean, you'll be surprised. I was doing
Yeah.
the event, like promoting it like crazy. And people right before were like, I didn't know this. Like, what's going on, Neel? Where's the event? I'm like, dude, I messaged you. I've posted 14 times this week about it. Everybody at your company's going and you don't know about it. It's like, dude, I've been busy. So like people don't see it, even in
Yeah.
the scrolling. Like they'll just scroll right past it. Or I don't remember what I looked at this morning on social media. You know what I mean? That's how fast the world is moving. Like if you're like, hey, dude, what were the
Sure.
specific posts you saw this morning? I can't tell you, because there's too much noise. We're inundated with this stuff. So like you said, 7-8 times before someone even starts to stick like what you're saying. So that's the level of volume that's required. And don't be afraid to reshare things. Say one thing in 10 different ways, because you're going to reach new people each time. And the
Yep.
only people who see every single post that you make are your biggest fans. Everybody else is going to see like 1 in 10 posts.
Basically your mom.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only person that's going to see everything.
And she is not going to be offended by the repeat
No.
version of the how to buy an investment property.
Yeah.
So
Just
she's
do
not
it.
going to hit the unfollow. Like that's
Yeah.
the fear. Like, dude, if I inundate these people, they're going to unfollow me. Well, only 10% of the people are seeing every post you make.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's just a fraction, So you don't want to be you don't want to be beat a dead horse. You want to keep it fresh, but at the same time, like, don't be afraid to post the same stuff.
Give you a compliment, Neel. Yesterday, a young originator I've been watching for a while was in Washington. He moved to Arizona, and I've been watching his Instagram. It's been really, really good. So I texted him like, "Hey, man, love your stuff. Great. Like it's really stepped up." He goes, "Yeah, man, I'm part of Neel's Forward Academy. True story. I can show you the text thread." So
There you go.
just to give credibility to that, guys, jump in there. There's obviously a ton of success there. One thing, I got a really good question. I can't wait to ask you guys. I got my notepad out, and you guys should get it out because this is going to be good when they answer it. But if you are thinking about video and you're going, everybody's in video, it's oversaturated. First of all, it's not true. Neel's right. There's a lot of markets where you might be the only content creator in there. But even if you're not, let's say you're 10,000, you're the 10,001 person that's doing it. Let me tell you guys, big mega companies, the GRs, the guilds, the movements, like they have 2% market share. It's not oversaturated. I promise you, our pie is so big in this industry, whether you're in real estate or mortgage, it doesn't matter if you're first or 10,000, it is not oversaturated. We have very, very little market share no matter where you're at. So I just want to encourage you, like, don't use that as a reason not to get into video. So here's the question that I can't wait for you guys to answer. Knowing what you guys all know now, like you've got years and years of lessons, failures that have taught you stuff, successes that have taught you stuff. And this, I'm asking this for the person that either has started video and wants to get better, or is still kind of on the sideline going, "Oh, I'm not really sure if I should get into video." If you had to start over, Neel, we'll start with you, with everything that you know now, and you had to start over again, what would you do differently?
So in the beginning, I was just trying different types of content. So I would go to this conference. Somebody would tell me, do like local business videos, become like the mayor of your town. You hear all these strategies.
Digital mayor.
Yeah, that was a failure for me. I should not be in politics, not going to be a mayor of my town. I'll tell you that much. I started doing highlighting local businesses. Somebody's like, bro, who are you, Guy Fieri? Like, what are you doing?
Oh my
How does
God,
this,
that's funny.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
how does this tie to mortgages? And so I realized, like, do you, let's just say, for example, your passion was food. You should incorporate that into your content. For me, I don't really know anything about food. I just eat it. You know what I mean? Like, just give me some food, I'm good to go. Like, so what was I passionate about? I'm a nerd. I'm into analytics. I'm into all these things, right? I have all this knowledge up here. So I'm just trying to figure out how to unlock that. So that's the content I leaned into. And then it turns out that is the content that almost anybody could do, because everybody's got information here that they could share or that they could learn. And you don't have to be an expert. You can be an enthusiast, right? So like, let's just say, for example, I'm going to talk about the 6 rental properties that I purchased during the pandemic. That's cool. I'm an experienced investor and I can talk to that from personal experience. But what if you want to talk about the power of investing in real estate, but you don't even own a rental property? Well, you can curate the information and you can be an enthusiast, right? And you can be honest about that. You don't have to fake it. You know what I mean? So, like, everybody has information they could share, everybody can learn. And if you've gotten from point A to point B, you are now qualified to teach the person how, who was in your position before, right? And it doesn't matter if you're 2 steps, 10 steps, 20 steps ahead. There's value in your information because something different happened over the last couple of years. People stopped looking to big, huge influencers for all their advice, and they started looking to people who are just 2 or 3 steps ahead of them because that's actually practical. That's actually, when you watch it, you're like, I could do that. If Neel did it, if Keith did it, that means I could do it. And that's better than like when you're seeing like Elon Musk talk about something like, it's cool and I learned from him, but like he's so far ahead. It's so like far fetched for me that I'm not going to be flying to space and talking about, billions of dollars. But I could learn from a guy who just did the thing that I want to do and is just a year or two ahead of me. That's practical, So I think that's the stuff that I would have leaned into more, was stop looking to like the influencers, because those people did things in the beginning that is not evident today. You know what I mean? Like, don't look at Gary V or Ed Mylett, what they're doing today. Look at what they did to get to where they are today. And so I was trying to like emulate what people are doing who already had an audience. You need to do things that to build the audience. And that was put out value. What would every single piece of content you put out, like, what would somebody get out of this? Would they watch it? Would I watch this myself personally? Like, put your own viewer hat on. Like, would I watch? And it's bad when you can't even watch your own video. Like,
Yeah,
you
it's
put
not
the
good.
video on and
Scrap
you
it,
can't,
by the way. If you
you
don't
can't
like
finish
it,
it.
have the courage to scrap it.
Yeah, just start over.
And
Be like,
but
yo,
it's
dude, that
practice.
sucked. I'm gonna redo it.
It's
Yep.
practice.
And so that's probably that's what I would have done differently.
I want to interject a question then real quick. So, I've watched you for a while, Neel, and you went from 30 to like 100,000 followers pretty quick. But, I think there's a lot of people out there that, got a couple thousand followers and do follow you, right? So what does someone do that, is in that, 1,500, 2,500, 3,000 do differently than we see you do today? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I think here's what you would do. So it's putting out the content consistently, engaging with people, and look at the pieces of content that got more reach, do more like that. Look at the stuff that didn't work, so I'll do less of that. If your goal is to grow. Now, here's the thing. Everybody has different goals and everybody wants these vanity metrics of huge audience, but it's not like, I understand it's like a rich guy telling you that money isn't everything. When you want the money, you want the money, you know what I mean? But it really doesn't change much if you don't have a community. And there's many people who have an audience, but it's not an engaged audience. So I would tell you to take the slow path and make sure you're engaging with people. And the way you do that is reply to people's stories, send people DMs, send messages, be a real user of the platform. And what happens is, if you'll notice this, if people are DMing you, those are the people that are going to, if you have open DMs with them, they're the people who see each other's content more often. So you're building that real community. You're doing content that works. And then you'll see over time, it starts to go up. And then what happens is, one or two of your pieces of content in short form will hopefully go viral. And that's when you get these big leaps. So it's like, again, putting yourself in a position to get lucky. The platform is saying, hey, small creators, we're going to favor your content. You just need to swing the bat more and get a better swing. You know what I mean? Because you're going to hit it out of the park on a couple of these pieces of content. So for me, the growth was slow. It's a couple hundred followers a week, but then I'll hit one piece of content out of the park. That piece of content brings you 20, 30, 40,000 followers because it went viral. Right. And so you can't make that piece of content with that goal in mind. It just happens. Like, I can't tell you the ones that do that. I didn't think they were that good even, but I'm just like, you're just trying, you keep going. So that's how the growth happens, but you have to be a real user of the platform. And it's almost like they reward you for being a real member of the community. At some point that it clicks for you and they're like, oh, this is, the algorithm says Keith's putting out good content. He's a good guy. Let's anoint this piece of content. And then it goes, boom, you hit a home run, And so that's how that works. And if it hasn't happened for you yet, it will, if you stick with it. It's just a matter of time. And then the other thing is to that people need to do is, like, on the content, not every piece of content needs to be this viral piece of content. Like you talked about this the other day. You were doing content about specific topic of your passion for VA loans.
Yep.
Now, those videos are not going to go viral, most likely.
No.
But here's the thing, they led to real transactions. They led to helping someone
It's
who
a sniper approach
Yep.
versus a
Yeah.
viral approach.
So look at both of like, yo, this piece of content led to 6 figures in revenue. It led to me helping people who maybe I wouldn't have reached. Then also look at the stuff that like, hey, here's what the platform likes. I'm going to push this out. So do both.
I think though that was specific consistency with that though too, right? So I did get super specific, but I got really consistent where like I'm wearing my black shirt today because I was going to be on this, but my red shirt's hanging right here, and it's Friday, and I'm going to do my red day. Remember everyone deployed VA mortgage update. And so I think I had done like 3 weeks in a row every Friday, and I had an agent reach out to me like, we know you're super passionate about helping veterans. I've got a VA referral for you. And I maybe had done 3 red days, right? So, but it was specific but consistent. And that I think that's important. That was one of the things I was going to say is, I wish I would have gotten hyper focused a lot sooner, right? A lot clearer on who my actual audience is, who am I speaking to, who am I trying to educate, and not think about like it is a vanity metrics. We all think about, I think about all the time, like how do I get more followers? How do I get more followers? How do I get more followers? Is this video going to get me more followers? But what we had to do is we really had to change and say like, is this video going to add value? And I heard you say something similar in a different way, Neel, earlier in this conversation too, is like when you're thinking about creating that, like, is this going to bring value? If it's going to bring value to somebody, like someone's going to learn from it, run with it. And if 10 people watch it, but one person raised their hand, like it's a win. I think sometimes when people get in to doing this and they create a video and it gets 54 likes and they're like, I'm done. This sucked. Right? Like all you need is one person to raise your hand.
We're in a high margin business.
Correct. Exactly. So, and I've said it before.
I'm not selling t-shirts out here, bro.
Correct. The gap is so large between who is doing it and who isn't. Like 54 likes can actually be a pretty big step in the right direction relative to maybe what you have in the market.
Yeah. And think the baseline is no likes. This baseline is like nobody posted anything.
Right.
So, and then those metrics are cool because it is telling you what was value. The algorithm is not like your enemy. It's telling you what people like. I mean, it's getting pretty advanced. Sometimes it makes a mistake, but for the most part, if you got more reach on one and you got less reach on another, it's telling you that one resonated with people more. They watched more of it. It's literally math. They watched your face longer on the video that reached more people. Why did they watch your face longer? Well, it might have been the hook. It might have been the way you communicated. It might have been the topic. At the bottom of that is also the quality. Could they hear you clearly? Could they see you clearly? How does it look? It's like, how did you capture their attention? So there's all kinds of data that goes into that, but it all comes together to basically mean that people watched more of your video. They didn't scroll. You stopped them from scrolling, and then they watched more of your video. It's the same thing on YouTube. Like you can do all the hacks, what time to post, what camera to get, what it comes down to. Did they click on your video and did they watch it? That's it. That's all you have to do. Right. And if you boil it down to that, now you're going to be more intentional with your content. Like, what are the first words out of my mouth? The other day, somebody's like came up with this hook and they were a real estate photographer. And he was like, he asked me for help. He's in one of our groups and he was like, yo, I had this video and it was like, do you want your real estate photos to stand out? Use these 3 tips to, use these 3 tips to make your videos incredibly better or whatever. And he had this long hook. And I was like, why don't you just say, here are 3 ways to make your real estate photos amazing. Like that was the whole 12-second intro that he had down into just 2 seconds or 3 seconds. And I was like, if you did that, you're going to reach way more people. So just simplify it. And then he's like, oh, okay, I get it. And now he starts to make it better. And that's what it is. It's like just getting better, improving, look at the stuff that worked, and then you'll start to see patterns.
Well, before they even watch, like, or comment, like you said it earlier, you have to stop. We call it the Dead Sea Scroll. People are just mindlessly scrolling. And so if you're really long, we talked about this in Clubhouse, if you're really long intro, dude, bro, they're gone. Like, so you have to stop that scroll real quick before you even get a like or comment.
And Ryan, I know this is a lot about social media, but I recently had finally found success with my YouTube channel. And the way I did that was similar. It's not as fast, like you have a little bit more time, but I was doing this thing where I would do an introduction video. Like it'd be like, hey guys, Neel with blah, blah, blah. Today we're going to talk about this. And then it would go to like a montage of me doing all these cool things. Nobody cared. I was losing everybody. You know what I mean? Yep. So now I literally start the video with is the housing market, how is the recession going to affect the housing market? I've got this stuff. Let's get into it. Boom, go straight into it.
Yeah,
Like they
smart.
know who you are. They know how to subscribe to your channel. Like they'll figure that out. Just give them the goods straight out the gate. Don't waste people's time, especially if you're a new channel. Now, once you have credibility, you could do some things different,
Yeah.
It's a fair point because they don't know how long that's going to last either, right? If I'm going to YouTube and I'm searching for something very specific, and then you spend, even if that's only going to be a 10-second intro, I don't necessarily know how long that's going to be, right? And so,
it tells you that on the graph, there's a drop down in viewership right there.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
the data is literally telling you that nobody cares about your introduction or your montage. It's
Get
so
to the
sick.
point.
You getting out of your car and opening the door slow-mo and
Slow-mo.
it's like, dude, you look sick, bro. I love it. I love the gear. I love the Rolex. I love it all. But nobody gives a shit. Like, just give them the information that they came for.
It's
They literally
true.
typed into the search bar, how does a recession affect housing prices? Somebody typed that. A lot of people are typing that right now. So let's just say you made a video about how the recession affects housing prices. Many people are going to watch that video. Now it's up to you to keep their attention. So you literally start with, are you worried that recession is going to affect housing prices? Well, there's 3 things, and most people get these wrong. So I'm going to get into it today. Let's go. And then you start, and they're like, oh shit, and they start watching it, and you'll see your numbers just go like this. So I was at a conference, and I was like, dude, my YouTube channel, I'm not taking it seriously. And this guy was a YouTube strategist. What should I do? And he's like, well, Neel, like right now, what's a topic, that's really, that you're good at, that you could just sit at a bar and talk for 4 hours about off the top of the head? And I was like, well, how to use Instagram marketing to grow your business. And my channels, one of the channels I have is more targeted towards business professionals, people in the industry. So he's like, why haven't you made that video? I'm like, you know what? You're right. So my videos were getting like a couple thousand views. So I made that video and I put as much value in I could in that video for free. And it got 250,000 views. And my channel went from 1,000 subscribers to 10,000
Wow.
subscribers
That's
in a
awesome.
month. So like, if there's something that you are a true expert at,
Pour
like
gas on it. Lean into it.
to make that 15-minute video on YouTube, and people will watch it if you do it properly. And they can tell your shit because based by data. And now that's how you go to your YouTube channel. Like there's no hack. I didn't think about what time to post. I didn't think about the perfect thumbnail and the fucking tags and the hashtag. Like that was none of it. It was like, dude, you are uniquely qualified to take somebody from A to B. Please explain that in this YouTube video. Done. Boom. Channel blew up. Right.
What was your hook?
I think it was like, I recently blew up my Instagram from this to this. I'm going to tell you how I did it.
There you go.
So
That's
good.
simple. I think that's the
And then-
number one thing that people, I see agents doing all the time, or even, loan officers do it too, is like when they're doing a video, hey, this is Keith Collins with this company. Lost you. Like I can see your name right above the video. Like that is the
And
number one thing.
I thought
that
you could
think
do that
people
on
are doing.
YouTube, but apparently you shouldn't do that on
You
YouTube
shouldn't
either.
do that either. Yeah.
Yeah. Just go straight. And
I mean, we're in an Amazon world. Like people are expecting, I live out in the country and I can get freaking Whole Foods delivered to my house same day. Right.
yeah.
Like,
And then I sent you a video, Keith, one I made about the recession, emailed
Yeah.
it to my list. And that was a similar thing. It was like, it didn't do as well as the Instagram one because it's less like hot button, but it was like, yo, is the housing market going to crash? There's all these people telling you this and that. I'm going to break it down for you guys in today's video. Let's get into it. And then we got into that video, and that video did really well for me. It didn't go viral, but it got like 5,000 views, which you have to realize one view on YouTube is equivalent to 100 views on social because they're sitting there watching you for like 4 to 5 minutes. Talk to them.
Yep.
That's way better than like an impression. Like, I don't even know what a view is on Reels. I think it's like a second or 2 seconds, maybe. Like a view on YouTube is different. Like they're watching you for minutes. That's insane. So that's where I go deeper. That video led to so many more transactions, much more credibility with clients, a lot of emails, a lot of conversations, a lot of top of mind awareness, because that's a topic that's really top of mind. So if anybody's watching this and you're new to content, I would make a short video and I would make a long video about how the recession affects housing prices. If you use the word recession in the first sentence of the video, more people will watch it today because Google data shows that many, many people are concerned about the recession.
Guys, we've already gone an hour and it's felt like 10 minutes to me. Like it's insane. Like this is so good. We haven't even got into like a lot of my questions. So I guess we'll have to wrap, leaving them wanting more, which is never a bad thing. But
Yeah.
vanity metrics, dude, we could spend an hour on that. Vanity metrics and measuring true ROI. God, we could spend easy an hour on that. You mentioned like what you guys would do differently. A lot of times when we travel, one of the first questions we get is about the weight of being a content creator. Like, how do you come up with so much information? And I'll tell you this, and Neel touched on a little bit earlier. One of the most watched videos we have this year was simply me retelling a story that John Maxwell told me in a coaching call. It wasn't even my story. It wasn't even in the studio. I was at the golf course because it was about Gary Player
It was
practicing in bad
so
weather.
good, brother. That was such a good video.
And it went crazy, tens of thousands, maybe a couple 100,000 views. I don't know, but CEOs were sharing it, regionals were sharing it. It wasn't even my story, guys. So that don't feel that weight of content creation. It's not all on you. There's information, there's content everywhere. And Neel touched on it. It was like there's a little bit of gold in everything that both Keith and Neel have said today. Like, it doesn't even have to be your story. You can just share it. And I was open. Like, I was coaching with John Maxwell. He told me this story. It was so applicable to every lender that's in this market today, and it went crazy. So,
And quick point, Ryan, when you're wrapping up here, I said you need to be an enthusiast. Let's just say that you and I are offline and we're all talking back, in the green room, and you're like, dude, I wouldn't buy a house right now. Rates are too high. Real estate's crazy. It's going to crash. If you feel that right now and you're a mortgage person or a real estate person, please leave the industry. Like, you cannot sell something that you don't believe in.
believe in your heart. Yeah. 100%.
And so I believe that the market's not going to crash because I've looked at all the data. I believe I'm parking my own money in real estate. I believe in the long-term benefits of owning, right? I believe that, there's an opportunity to refinance your loan in the coming years when inflation comes down based on data. And so don't hedge for this 2% chance or 0.5% chance that everything could go to shit. If you're hedging for that, you're screwed. It's over. People make money on what's most likely to happen, not the black swan event. Like, you're going to try and capture when everything crashes and there's another pandemic and all these things. Like, and I'll tell you this, like, someone's like, well, Neel, what if you said the market's not going to crash and there's going to be an opportunity to refinance and everything goes to shit and rates go to 12% and the market does crash by 40, 50%. If that happens, the video that we made on Instagram will be the least of our worries. We won't be in the industry. I was in the industry in 2008. It was bad. Like, this is a cakewalk compared to that. This is nothing, bro. Like, so if the worst case thing happens, like, you're going to be getting another job. Like, the industry will collapse if you see a 50% crash in home prices. And so that's not likely to happen. So I'm not going to hedge every piece of content I put out on this, very, very thing that everything goes to shit. Like, let's talk about what's most likely to happen based on the data and make sure you believe that, because if you're hedging for that, even if you're not saying the words, people can tell that you don't believe in what you're doing and the content won't work. I can tell you right now, you might fool somebody on one video or whatever, but for the most part, your content is not going to be authentic and it's not going to take off.
So good, man. Keith, any final words? That was super encouraging for people that want to get into video marketing. I 100% agree with you, Neel. Like, your heart.
He says super encouraging. I'm telling people to quit.
No, it is. It's like, look, man, and that's, if your heart's not in it and you don't love what you're doing, like, go find something you love. Like,
yeah, exactly. Maybe you're passionate about something totally different. And this, I hope maybe, like, if 1,000 people saw that, 1 or 2 people are like, you know what, dude, I hate doing this job. I want to go do something else. Like, please do that. You know what I mean? Like, find a way to monetize that. Don't torture people in this industry, because there's a lot of people who do talk bad about what we do. And they're like, dude, this is just a grind. I hate this. Like, then it comes through in everything you do. It comes through in every conversation, it comes through in your lack of effort. It comes through in your lack of action. And that's the reason why you hate it, is because, you're not getting any success, and it's a self-fulfilling thing. What you look for, you're going to find.
It doesn't make you a good or bad person either. It's just what you're passionate about. You know what I mean? Like, we had a marketing guy that was more of a hunter, like 5, 6, 7 years ago. And we could tell his heart wasn't with us. And we encouraged, said the same thing, man. You're very good at marketing and you love hunting. Like, go do that thing. And he was like, oh man, I can't. I feel bad. That dude blew up. Like, he is one of the best marketers in that hunting scene right now. And his life is amazing because Keith, you're a hunter. All he does is hunt and then document the hunt. And now he's literally top of the game.
Keith's out here hunting business, bro. He's hunting deals.
Well, Neel, ask him to see the alligators that he shot.
Oh,
you'll see what he's really
shit. I would like to put more of that in your stories, Keith. I want to see that.
Seriously,
dude,
Keith.
I worry about that, right? Like, I get
why you haven't
personal,
posted
but
it?
I don't know if I'm gonna put one of the pictures of an alligator over my shoulders. You know what I mean?
Dude, I think it would blow up. Honestly, you'd find your tribe.
We got some coaching happening in the moment
All
right
right.
now. Let's go.
I'll do it. I'm gonna call you and I'm gonna send you the picture,
Hey,
and I want to get
the
some
thing that
advice
you're most
on how to
the
do
thing
it, and then I'll do it.
yeah, the thing that we're most scared to say, uh, is probably it's because it's the truth, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard sometimes to share things because 'cause you're like, "I don't wanna offend somebody," but most of the time, people lack the courage to do those things, and when you are the one who does that, they really get attracted to you. So I would, shy away from, like, a lot of the politics and
For
polarizing
sure.
things because I don't wanna divide people, but at the same time, if there's something I truly believe, like, I'm gonna share it, you know what I mean?
Keith, last words, buddy, before we wrap.
I would say, like we've talked about this a lot. Don't be afraid to swipe and adapt. I mean, we've got Neel out here who's killing it, and he's actually like the scripts that he like. If you are in Ford Academy and you watch the scripts he gives you, it's literally the script that he did a video for, and he's expecting you to copy verbatim what he said. So, like, swipe and adapt. It'll work. And
So
then
good.
I think the other one is stop making your job look easy. I think that we do
Ooh.
a really bad job of that, right? Real estate agents in the pandemic sold for 40 grand over, sold for 40 grand over, sold for 40 grand over. Well, no reason why they want to like hack your commission in half. They think it's easy what you do, right? So have a strategy behind what you're talking about, right? Like, we helped this client sell their home for 40,000 over, but these are the 3 things that we did to achieve
Mm.
that goal, right? Like,
Yep.
we need to stop making our job look easy because it's not. But and have fun doing it.
Guys, I'm huge fans of both of you. Thank you for giving us an hour. Again, it felt like 10 minutes. And I have a feeling we're going to have
I'm in.
a big push to
Follow up.
rack and reload this again because this was money. Guys, we'll put Ford Academy down below. We'll put links to Neel and Keith down below. Again, thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys next week.